Hello again, viewers. Connor and Chris here, and today we're doing the review for Annabelle Creation. This is the fourth film in the Conjuring Universe, that franchise.
Yeah, so Annabelle Creation takes place 12 years after a horrific accident in which a dollmaker's daughter is killed, and then him and his wife invite a group of orphans and a nun to come and live in their home with them as sort of a charity, and then shit goes down with
Things
the doll.
happen. Going into the film, prior to seeing it, I just kind of thought, I didn't know why they'd made this film. Like, after watching Annabelle, the first Annabelle, I thought that kind of covered the origins of that whole story, yet it turns out it doesn't. So I was pleasantly surprised to how this film sort of takes shape and how it turns out.
My general impression was, well, like you said, I was pleasantly surprised. Didn't expect anything from this movie at all, except I was thinking, oh, it might be moderately entertaining, because it was sort of, it's been, going around on the internet that it's the prequel that no one asked for. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't expect much of it, especially after the first Annabelle film, which I watched, and I didn't even realise I had watched until I went and did a bit of research when we went to go watch this. So clearly the first Annabelle made a really huge impression on me, but this one I really enjoyed. I thought it was really good. So this movie is directed by David F. Sandberg, he's kind of an interesting story. He's all over the internet of late because he's become one of those rare cases of an overnight Hollywood success. Back in 2012, 2013, I think, he made a short film called Lights Out, which you guys might know the feature film version of, which is his big film. After his short film Lights Out went viral, and then it was how he met James Wan, and then that's how this film came about.
Yeah. Like, when I found out that that this film was being directed by him, I thought, well, that's kind of cool, because I only knew of Lights Out, like the feature. I hadn't actually seen the short. But I really liked Lights Out, the film, and I thought, well, this is cool, because I trust this guy to do like a dark, spooky horror. So, but at the same time, I was still a bit like, why are they making this film? What I really did love about this film was just sort of the work with the camera and the lighting, or lack thereof, and all the shadows. Horrors, I feel, are great for this whole drawing focus to the background, and this film, I thought, really kind of mastered that, where there's, a character close in 1/3 of the frame, sharp in the foreground, and there's just out of focus, dark background, yet somehow that's the focus of the frame. You're like, what's going on back there? But even though there's a character right in front of you talking, I want to know what's happening out there.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Like, there was a couple of instances in this film where I was thinking, please don't do that classic, like, the character starts walking backwards and then we start, like, slowly bringing more, like, dead space behind them. Like, oh, where's that scare going to come from? I wonder.
Though I thought all the horror parts, all the scary moments were good, I didn't think there were any, like, standout set pieces like there were with The Conjuring 1 and 2. Like, for me, the nun painting scene in The Conjuring 2, that sticks with me just forever. Like, that scared the shit out of me. But there were no, like, big moments in this one that I felt had the same impact. Not that they were bad, just nothing really, like,
I'd agree with that, but then at the same time, like, the painting scene from The Conjuring 2, like, it's pretty hard to top.
Yeah, I'm not looking to top it. It's just something that would, like, stick in my mind,
Yeah. There were a couple of moments that stuck out to me, but it wasn't strictly because of the scariness. I thought the scariness was really well done, but it was in part because I feel like the violence in this film steps up a bit from the Conjuring films.
That's true, yes.
Because in the Conjuring films, you get the classic, like, people getting dragged around by the hair and they get, tossed about a bit or, like, dragged out of bed. But, like, in this film, like, there's some, like, pretty good violence. It's upper level, which was, so not necessarily on the scary level, but a couple of scenes stood out to me for that reason, because it was just like, whoa, this is kind of a step away from the original films.
Yeah, definitely. More blood as well in certain scenes. There were bloody moments, which I didn't know if I saw coming, because, the Conjuring 1 and 2 are kind of tame. They're very scary, but nothing nasty and violent.
It sort of manages to stay away from a lot of horror cliches, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because the Conjuring series, Conjuring 1 and 2, the first one especially, they're kind of classical horror films. There's a lot of the tropes of horror films, but it doesn't feel cliched. But this movie's not like that. It's still really good, but it doesn't play on the classic tropes as much. And that was something that I really liked about it, because I'd be watching it, not that I'm particularly amazing at guessing what's going to happen in movies, but you know, you'd be watching it and I'd be thinking, okay, so where's this scene going? And you'd be like, I think the scare's going to come from there. And I couldn't get it. Most of the time I got it wrong, which is nice. That's really nice.
Yeah.
And on the occasion, there were 1 or 2 scenes where I did manage to get it pretty close to right, but they'd managed to do something really interesting in the meantime between the end of that scene where that scare was coming from and the beginning of the scene.
I know what you're saying,
I thought they did a really good job with that. Like Janice, oh my god, I felt so bad for Janice. Like
the poor
kid.
girl.
Like, I mean, she's an orphan. She's like crippled from polio, or whatever, which is getting worse. You know, she's like probably gonna be split up from her friend. Then she gets traumatized and possessed for her whole life. Like, I felt really bad.
Poor girl.
But, you know, the fact that I actually like gave a toss about Janice is a good sign.
Yeah, I thought that like overall the story was quite like concise but for me there wasn't much going on. Like I didn't know where like what the characters wanted or like what was gonna like where this was kind of going. There was no kind of obvious path for anyone in the film, like other than the demon. And like the parts between the scares, the dialogue parts, they were interesting, but I kind of thought they lulled a little bit. Only some parts kind of dragged for me. I was like, okay, I could get to the next set piece now.
No, I think that's fair enough, because I felt that way not throughout the whole film. I felt the pacing wasn't. There were points where I was like, just a fraction too long, but it didn't bother me too much. But in the final scene, in the climax of the film, I sort of felt like they needed to be fighting the demon more. They were just kind of running around the house trying to not die. They didn't really seem like they had a plan. And it's sort of just like at the end of The Conjuring 2, there's that fantastic moment where it's like, we've made a mistake. We have to go back. And it's that rush to get back. And it's like, we have to get into the house. And it's these specific goals that you have to, you know, which I felt that the climax of this film was lacking. And it just sort of, it made the end... I mean, it was still scary. The ending was still scary, but it had lacked direction.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. They were just kind of running around like headless chickens, just trying not to die, but they weren't trying to do anything about it.
Another thing that towards the end that I kind of wished they had done a little differently was I kind of wished that the Scarecrow character had been more his own character. Yeah. Because we do get a scene with him, but he's sort of pretty much immediately just... it's the demon and the Scarecrow, and it's like, I kind of wish he'd turned it like a little more like
the crooked man.
I
thought the same thing.
Yeah, I felt like he needed to be more his own character. I thought they could have done more with that. He sort of felt like a wasted opportunity.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same about that. I was like, there's going to be something cool that's going to happen later. Like, when we first see the Scarecrow, when the girl's like, look at that Scarecrow, I'm like, there's going to be something awesome, something scary is going to happen with this thing later. But then, it kind of doesn't. It does, like you said, it gets its scene, but it doesn't get its moment.
Yeah, exactly. So, overall, in summary, I thought this was a really worthwhile addition to the Conjuring franchise. If you haven't seen it, or if you've seen the other Annabelle film and didn't think much of that one, I think this one's a lot better, so don't go on that one. This one's really good. Check it out. And overall, I think I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
Nice. I feel like we had similar thoughts on all the positives of the film anyway, which is good. And I also agree, I preferred it to Annabelle, which was good to see because I wasn't expecting much from this film at all. I do have a few questions about the ending of the film, though the actual ending and the tie-in was very satisfying. There are a few questions which I won't go into because it's heading into spoiler territory. So I'm also going to give this film a 7 out of 10 because I think it's worth it. Thanks, guys, for watching this review of Annabelle Creation. It's been an absolute blast. I enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed the film. Definitely recommend you go see it.
Oh yeah, check it out, man.
If you're a horror fan, you'll love it. Hopefully,
probably, most likely. I don't know you.
Maybe. We don't know you. Don't look at me like that. But hey, like and subscribe to our channel stuff. That'd be great.